The galactic empire of Andromis had long been aware of Earth's existence. The human race, while still primitive compared to the advanced civilizations scattered across the universe, had begun to make ripples in the cosmic pond. Their radar signals, their technological growth, their exploration of space, everything was being observed. They were fascinating, volatile, and unpredictable, but most importantly, they were ripe for conquest. Andromis' Council of Galactic Conquerors had always been keenly interested in Earth. A small, rich planet with a populace that was tough and resilient, humanity was a perfect candidate for the Empire's expansion. A swift invasion, or so they thought, would cripple the human race, leaving them easy prey for the Empire's insatiable thirst for resources. Then, one day, it happened. Earth went silent. The radio transmissions, once constant and steadily increasing, ceased. The satellites monitoring Earth's signals picked up nothing. No more signs of life, no more radio chatter. The military channels that once buzzed with communication fell eerily still. Even the usual buzzing interference, sometimes thought of as random noise, vanished without a trace. The once dominant presence of Earth's communication was gone, leaving only an unnerving void. The alien fleets, scattered across the galaxy, stopped in their tracks. The invasion plans were immediately put on hold. The Andromis Empire had never experienced anything like this. Every other species they had encountered had always screamed, fought, or begged for mercy in the face of impending conquest. But humans, they simply stopped. "We need to investigate. What is Earth doing?" Supreme Commander Xylox demanded, his sharp, black eyes scanning the projection of Earth's coordinates. "Do we have any visual?" His aide, a young technician named Rix, shook his head nervously. "We attempted every method of communication and satellite probe. Commander, the planet is completely quiet. It's as though every signal from Earth has been erased." Xylox's furrowed brow deepened. "Impossible. We've seen them before. They fight, they yell, they challenge us at every turn. Even when we bombarded their cities, they fought back. But now, silence. This is unnatural." At that moment, in the heart of the Galactic Empire's war room, the unexpected happened. A new transmission came in, but it wasn't from Earth. It was from the edge of the solar system, from a deep space probe that had been sent on an orbit beyond the reach of Earth's signals. The message wasn't anything like what the Empire had anticipated. It was a simple message, one word: "Mo." The message echoed throughout the war room, leaving everyone stunned. No one had seen anything like it. The transmission was static, distorted, but it was unmistakably from an Earth probe, one they had lost track of years ago. And it was clear whatever humanity had done to fall silent, they had left a message that rippled through the void. They weren't just quiet, they were rejecting the Empire. Xylox's heart raced. For the first time in centuries, the aliens were faced with something they couldn't understand, and it was terrifying. "Rix," the Supreme Commander ordered, his voice trembling with fury, "send a fleet to the Outer Rim. Now, we need to know what Earth has done. If they are preparing something, we need to be ready." The fleet launched, crossing the void toward the blue planet, but as the ships neared Earth, the atmosphere shifted. The fleet detected a strange interference, the sort that humans had been unable to create before. Something was blocking their sensors, pulling at the very fabric of space-time. What they had assumed was a planet on the brink of collapse, silenced by some internal catastrophe, was instead a world that was quietly, deliberately, shifting its defenses into place. Then, the realization hit. Humanity wasn't just quiet, they were preparing for war, and they were doing it in a way that no alien had ever anticipated. Back on Earth, in the shadows of hidden underground bunkers and on the outskirts of abandoned cities, humanity's survivors stood in silence, watching. They had been waiting for this day, the day the invaders would come. They knew that the aliens would come, expecting to conquer them as they had countless other species. But what they didn't know was that humanity had learned from their past mistakes. They had seen how the larger empires had conquered and obliterated species, how they never gave second chances, how they never accepted defeat. And so, Earth had planned, Earth had prepared. In every corner of the planet, small groups of brilliant minds had been working in secret, creating weapons and technologies no one thought possible. They had secretly manipulated the very forces of nature. They had learned to bend space, time, and energy to their will, crafting defenses that would make any invader think twice. When the Andromis fleet entered Earth's orbit, they expected easy targets, but what they found instead was a planet shrouded in a web of technological marvels. The very air around them seemed to hum with a strange, potent energy. They tried to probe, to attack, but their weapons seemed to falter, as if reality itself was resisting their presence. The fleets of the Andromis Empire were paralyzed by the strange new technologies humanity had put in place. What they had thought was a broken world had turned into a formidable fortress, and the panic set in. Across the Empire, rumors spread like wildfire. The humans had done the impossible. They had turned the tide. They were no longer the weak, docile creatures they once appeared to be. Humanity had decided that it was no longer a target for conquest. It was a force to be reckoned with. The Andromis Empire, known for its ruthless efficiency and overwhelming strength, now found itself caught in an unprecedented situation. The silent world they had once eyed for domination had become an impenetrable enigma, a fortress they couldn't breach. Commander Xylox, furious but calculating, stared at the endless expanse of space that now separated his fleet from Earth. "Rix, what have we missed? Why didn't we anticipate this?" Xylox snapped, his mind racing with possibilities. The transmissions from Earth were still sparse, and every probe sent to gather information had either vanished or returned incomplete, their data corrupted by strange energy fields surrounding the planet. The Council of Galactic Conquerors demanded answers, and failure was not an option. "Commander," Rix hesitated, glancing at the flickering holographic map in front of him. "We've never encountered a species that could do this. Every scan shows an energy signature we've never seen before, and it seems to be spreading. It's like the planet itself is adapting. Whatever they did, it's changing the laws of physics around them." Xylox ground his teeth in frustration. "This is madness. We were prepared for any contingency. We outnumber them 1,000 to 1. What is this secret they've hidden all these years?" Meanwhile, back on Earth, the human race was rallying. The quiet had been intentional part of a grand strategy years in the making. Earth's governments, once fractured and divided, had united under a single banner, pooling resources and knowledge to prepare for the coming storm. The global silence had been their signal to activate the final phase of their defensive combination of ancient technologies, rediscovered knowledge, and cutting-edge science that had turned the world into something unrecognizable. In underground cities, hidden military complexes, and secret laboratories, humanity had developed weapons designed to not just fight, but to fight back on a cosmic scale. The planet was now surrounded by a shield of energy that distorted the space around it, a barrier that prevented any outside force from gathering intelligence. Advanced quantum computers, powered by the combined minds of the brightest humans, had cracked algorithms that allowed them to manipulate the very fabric of space-time, creating weapons capable of disrupting the invaders' technology. On the surface, the human population waited in silent solidarity, their fate no longer in the hands of invaders but in their own hands. They had not just built defense, they had built a message. Their silence was a warning, a statement of power and resolve. Thousands of light-years away, the Andromis fleet attempted a new strategy, one that relied not on brute force, but on infiltration. If they could understand how Earth had managed this impossible feat, perhaps they could find a way to bypass it. Down scenes of scout ships descended into Earth's atmosphere, each trying to slip past the planetary shield undetected. But the moment they entered the stratosphere, the tide turned. A storm of energy pulses erupted from Earth's surface, knocking the scout ships off course. In moments, their sophisticated technologies, once impenetrable and invincible, began to glitch. The invaders' systems went haywire, their ships careening out of control. Some exploded in blinding flashes, their wreckage falling toward Earth's surface, while others were caught in gravitational anomalies that stretched and tore them apart. Commander Xylox, watching helplessly from his command center, understood that Earth was not merely defending itself, it was fighting back with a force that was far beyond what any alien had expected. They've weaponized the very fabric of space, Xylox murmured to himself. The humans have found a way to control the universe itself. Desperation set in across the Andromis fleet. With every failed attempt, the fear that had been growing in the hearts of the invaders spread like wildfire. This was no longer an invasion. This was a battle for survival. Humanity wasn't just defending their home, they were changing the rules of engagement, forcing even the most advanced species to confront their own limits. Back on Earth, President Elena Markov stood on the steps of a newly constructed command center, overlooking a bustling world that had been completely transformed by the ongoing conflict. The sky above was darkened by the shadow of the Andromis fleet, but beneath it, the planet thrummed with an energy that hadn't been seen for millennia. Humanity had awakened. The decision to go silent wasn't just a tactic, it had been a declaration. Humans had chosen to stop being the prey and become the predators. President Markov's voice crackled over the communication network as she addressed the world. We've spent too long waiting for others to define our fate. Today, humanity declares that we are no longer a species to be conquered. We are the defenders of our planet, the stewards of our future, and we will fight with every breath, every resource, and every ounce of our strength. We are the last line of defense for this galaxy, and we will win. The speech was broadcast across every communication channel, everywhere humans could hear. There was no question left in anyone's mind. The Andromis Empire had underestimated humanity. The panic among the alien invaders had already begun, and this was only the beginning. As the days passed, the Andromis fleet began to retreat, overwhelmed by the constant, unyielding pressure from Earth's defense systems. Every time they tried to regroup, a new, unexpected weapon appeared. Earth had not only fought back, they had turned the tide of the invasion into a full-scale counteroffensive. Psylocke, desperate and furious, watched as the last remnants of his fleet were forced to abandon their mission. His voice, shaking with rage, was heard across the command room. Retreat, return to the Empire. Earth is not a world to be conquered, it is a world to be feared. But even as the fleet withdrew, they could not shake the feeling that the human race had done something far more dangerous than simply defending their planet. They had sent a message to the entire galaxy, one that was loud and clear. Humanity would no longer be the prey, they were now the hunters. And in the vast emptiness of space, the legend of Earth would begin to spread, a story not of conquest, but of survival, of defiance, and of a species that refused to be silenced. The story of Earth's unexpected rise spread like wildfire across the galaxy to the countless civilizations that either ignored or underestimated humanity. The tale of their defiance became a warning, a cautionary tale that rippled through the cosmic web. No longer just a primitive, developing species, Earth was now regarded as a force to be reckoned with, a planet capable of striking back with the power to shift the balance of the entire galaxy. The Galactic Council of Conquerors, once confident in their unassailable might, found themselves at a crossroads. The invincible Andromis Empire, shaken by the unexpected resistance, now had to face a grim truth. There were other forces in the universe, other civilizations, that had been watching closely, and Earth's newfound power had far-reaching consequences. The first to react were the Sextarians, a technologically advanced species known for their philosophy of mutual aid and cosmic cooperation. The Sextarian ambassador, Vika, issued an immediate transmission to Earth. People of Earth, she began, her voice calm but laden with curiosity. We have observed your extraordinary victory. The entire sector is discussing your actions with great interest. You have proven that even the most advanced civilizations can be challenged. You may not be as weak as you once seemed. Will you share your knowledge with us? For the first time, humanity stood at the crossroads of diplomacy and war. The Sextarians were not conquerors, but they were powerful, and their influence stretched across many star systems. Earth had to decide, would they share their knowledge and forge alliances with those who had not attacked, or would they shut themselves off from the rest of the galaxy, choosing isolation and self-reliance? President Markov, still grappling with the gravity of Earth's newfound position, convened an emergency council to deliberate. The silence of the past had been a powerful weapon, but the galaxy was now watching. To isolate Earth forever could be dangerous, but sharing too much of their newfound technology could invite other predatory species to attempt what Andromis had failed. We have shown that we are not to be underestimated, Markov said, addressing the council. The invaders have retreated, but that does not mean the threat is over. We must decide how to move forward. Will we share our knowledge and attempt to form alliances, or do we stand alone and safeguard the secrets we have uncovered? Among the council members, there was heated debate. Some felt that Earth's actions had sent a strong enough message to the galaxy no one would dare challenge them again. Others believed that their technology was too powerful to be shared with those who might misuse it. The question that lingered in every mind was whether humanity could trust the rest of the galaxy to act in good faith. As the debate continued, far beyond the council chambers, the Andromis Empire was far from finished. Supreme Commander Xylox, now a disgraced and broken leader, had retreated to the outer rim, but he was not ready to give up on his dreams of galactic conquest. Behind closed doors, a covert faction within the Empire had begun to regroup, plotting how to deal with Earth once and for all. This faction, led by the ambitious General Vorn, was already formulating a plan to undermine Earth's defenses. They knew they couldn't invade directly, not with their fleets in disarray, but they could try something subtler, something insidious. Vorn's plan was simple: exploit the division within Earth's own ranks. He would sow distrust among the nations of Earth, amplifying the tension between those who wanted to engage with the rest of the galaxy and those who wanted to remain isolated. If they could divide humanity, they could weaken their resolve, and once that happened, the Andromis Empire could strike again. Back on Earth, the first tentative steps toward diplomacy were being taken. Earth had already received signals from several other factions in the galaxy, some benevolent, others with darker motivations. The leaders of the planet debated what to do next. Was it worth the risk to reach out to these other civilizations? Could humanity trust the intentions of beings who had never before been confronted by such fierce resistance? In a hidden facility beneath the Earth's surface, Dr. Alara Thorne, one of the scientists who had helped develop Earth's new technologies, worked feverishly on a groundbreaking invention. It was a communications device capable of contacting every corner of the galaxy, a universal link that could ensure humanity's security, keeping the enemies at bay while allowing them to communicate with those they deemed worthy of trust. Her invention wasn't just a tool of diplomacy, it was also a weapon only that could destabilize the technological power balance of the entire galaxy. If activated, the device could send a signal capable of manipulating the very energy fields that surrounded entire solar systems, disrupting the technological systems of any ship or space station that ventured too close. Once we activate this, it'll be a game changer, Dr. Thorne said to her team, her voice filled with a mixture of awe and trepidation. It's not just about defense anymore, it's about control. We can ensure that no one ever dares invade us again, but we'll need to choose who to trust carefully. One wrong move and we could become the very thing we fought against. As Earth entered this new phase of galactic relations, the shadow of the Andromis Empire loomed larger than ever. General Vorn's faction was already moving in the shadows, infiltrating Earth's communications networks, feeding misinformation, and trying to turn the delicate balance of power in their favor. The fate of humanity hung in the balance. Would Earth remain united in the face of potential galactic cooperation, or would they fall prey to the same division and deceit that had led to their initial vulnerability? As the council convened to discuss their next move, a deep silence fell over the room that reminded them of the dangers they had faced and the uncertain future that lay ahead. But one thing was clear: humanity was no longer just a helpless species, caught in the crossfire of cosmic politics. They were the ones who had the power to decide, and the galaxy would never be the same again. Chapter: The Gathering Storm. The tension in the Galactic Council of Conquerors was palpable. The Andromis Empire, already reeling from the unexpected failure of their invasion of Earth, was splintering. Discontent ran deep within the ranks as Supreme Commander Xylox's disgrace hung over them like a dark cloud. The retreat had not just been a loss of ships and soldiers, it had been a humbling defeat at the hands of a species they had thought beneath them. But from the shadows of this shattered empire, the General Vorn faction began to rise. Vorn was ambitious, ruthless, and unrelenting. He had seen the cracks in the Empire's faade and knew that the only way to restore the Andromis Empire's dominance was through an aggressive, covert war of manipulation, and Earth, with its newfound power and unexpected resilience, had become his prime target. He understood that a direct confrontation with humanity would end in disaster, just as the Andromis fleet had found out. Instead, He would play the long game. Divide and conquer had always been a strategy of the strongest empires, and Vorn had no intention of allowing Earth's newfound unity to stand in the way of his ambitions. On Earth, a fragile peace had been forged, but it was one that was constantly being tested. President Marco's decision to engage with the galaxy had set off a series of events that threatened to fracture humanity's resolve. The question of whether to ally with other civilizations or remain isolated remained deeply divisive. Some factions argued that the galaxy was full of potential allies, technologically advanced races that could help Earth ascend to even greater heights. They viewed the Andromis Empire's failure as an opportunity to build a coalition to ensure that humanity would never again face an existential threat alone. Others, however, felt that the galaxy had already proven its hostility. The Andromis invasion, followed by the events that had unfolded in the past months, made them wary. These voices argued for humanity's isolation, to preserve their newfound power, and to protect it from any external forces that might seek to exploit or control them. The planet's leadership was split, but in the midst of this chaos, General Vorn's influence began to seep into Earth's networks. Through covert operatives, he planted the seeds of distrust. Carefully, he infiltrated the ranks of Earth's military and diplomatic corps, feeding misinformation, stirring up paranoia. His operatives worked slowly but meticulously, exploiting every vulnerability in Earth's fractured political landscape. The first sign of trouble came in the form of an untraceable transmission. A coded message, intercepted by Earth's communications network, suggested that a rogue faction within their own government was planning to surrender Earth's secrets to alien races in exchange for promises of power. The message was convincing enough to stir fear and suspicion among the highest ranks of the military, even though it was ultimately a fabrication. The second attack was more subtle, a series of strange attacks on Earth's scientific and defense infrastructure. Seemingly random sabotage had no clear origin, yet too many. It felt like a warning. The whispers began. Was Earth being infiltrated by an unknown alien power, or was it something much closer to home? In the heart of Earth's capital, President Marco sat in her war room, deep in thought. The weight of the decision she had made to engage with the galaxy had begun to feel heavier by the day. It was clear that the Andromis Empire wasn't done with them. But now, a new threat was emerging, a force from within. We've received reports of sabotage across multiple defense installations, General Tyrell, the head of Earth's military, said as he entered the room. His voice was tight with worry. Systems are being compromised. We can't trace the source. Whoever is doing this, they know our infrastructure inside and out. Markov looked grim. Could this be the Andromis? Tyrell shook his head. No, ma'am, this feels different, more insidious. There's a faction operating on the inside. They want us to distrust each other, to break us from within. Suddenly, the door to the war room opened, and Dr. Alara Thorne entered, her face pale and her expression tense. President Markov, we found something troubling. Our communications network is being tampered with. Someone has managed to slip through the cracks of our security systems. They're sending false signals, trying to incite division. Markov's eyes narrowed. Who would do such a thing? Alara hesitated before answering. I believe it's a faction within the Andromis Imperi. General Vorn's faction. They've been watching us closely, trying to manipulate us from the shadows. Markov stood, pacing slowly. We knew this would happen. They've seen our power, and now they want to break us. We can't afford to let fear and suspicion tear us apart. We have to act quickly. She turned to Tyrell. Prepare our forces. We need to find this faction, expose them, and eliminate their influence. If Vorn's agents are already inside our systems, they'll try to pit us against each other. We can't let that happen. On the edge of the galaxy, General Vorn watched with a twisted sense of satisfaction as Earth's internal conflict began to grow. The sabotage, the misinformation, the fear, everything was unfolding just as he had planned. He knew that Earth's greatest strength wasn't just its technology or its raw power. It was the unity they had forged in the face of adversity. By tearing at that unity, he could render Earth vulnerable. Once divided, the planet would be easy to manipulate, easy to conquer. But there was another part of Vorn's Bononi that would solidify his position as the ruler of the galaxy. The final, Most insidious element of his strategy was the manipulation of the one force that had proved unstoppable during the invasion, the energy network that surrounded Earth. He had spent years studying the strange energy fields that humanity had generated, and he had developed a countermeasure in ancient alien technology capable of disrupting the very space-time fabric that Earth had harnessed for its defense. If he could destabilize that network, he would render Earth defenseless, allowing his forces to swoop in for the kill.